Hello my lovely and welcome back to my channel. I am Peachy Vegan Goddess and in this video I'm going to speak about spiritual bypassing. I did another video about this called the spiritual people say to condone. I can't remember what I called it. It was like something like I don't want to say the word, but actually my videos aren't monetized, but just for future, in case they do get monetized, the spiritual people say to justify eating animals. And I realized in that video I was quite rude and arrogant and obnoxious, and that's not how I want, that's not me, that's not how I am. Like, I guess that is what I thought at the time, but I really don't want to communicate in that way because I don't feel like it's very beneficial for people and it can just really put people off. And so I want to just speak about this more, I don't know, just to open the conversation because it's something that really bothers me. So I know a lot of spiritual people who eat animals. Spiritual and religious people, but let's say spiritual people who eat animals and they justify it. I even know people who kill their animals and eat them, and they justify it by saying things like, well, the animal's soul chose into that experience. The animal, on a soul level, there is no right or wrong, and on a soul level, that animal has chosen that path. And I feel like that is a really dangerous point of view because it is victim blaming. And as somebody who has experienced abuse, as an innocent child, yes, I agree my soul chose into that experience, but that doesn't justify the perpetrator and the abuser for abusing me. And so this is why this really gets to me, because I feel like it is completely deflecting responsibility. It's like, oh, the animal's soul chose the experience, so that makes it okay for me to exploit them and violently kill them. And it's not okay. And you don't know, like, no one knows for sure if that's true. This is just a spiritual perspective. This is just, maybe you've had a spiritual experience where you think that you've connected with the soul of an animal. And I've had experiences like that. Trust me, I've had many spiritual experiences in my life, and so I'm inclined to believe those things, but we don't know for sure. We do not know for sure. What we do know for sure is that these animals want to live. They don't want to die, and exploitation is wrong, abuse is wrong, and killing is wrong and violent. And what we do know is that the animals are suffering in the moment that they are having their throat slit, the moment they're having a bolt to their head, the moment that they are being electrocuted, they are suffering. It doesn't matter how good a life they had. You're inflicting violence and harm onto a living, sentient being. These animals feel emotion. They feel sensation. They are sentient. And so I find it just as disturbing as a factory farm, somebody to raise pigs and have the pigs trust and love and to be caring about these pigs, and then to slit their throat and then justify it by saying, well, the pig's soul chose that experience. To me, that is really messed up, very flawed thinking, very, very flawed logic. And when spiritual people say about, well, from source perspective there's no wrong or right, it really does bother me, because human perspective is as important as source perspective. Human perspective is part of source perspective. I can't say the words. And to completely dismiss the human experience based on the soul perspective or the source perspective is insane to me. And I will bring it back to the innocent child situation. So just because from source perspective, basically there's a silver lining in everything and everything happens for a reason and there is no right and wrong and, you know, good, everything happens for a reason and your soul chose into that experience for a reason for your growth, and who are we to play God, to me is insane, because you're playing God when you breed animals into existence to murder them, to exploit them and kill them and consume them. That's playing God. And when you say this source perspective and soul perspective, am I saying perspective? Oh my goodness, I've said this word so many times. When you say this from source perspective and soul perspective, you're invalidating the human, this experience, this 3D experience. You're invalidating the suffering and the pain and the abuse. You're completely dismissing and invalidating a perspective that is as valid and valuable. And to me, that is wrong to do that. That is like telling a child that the trauma that they've experienced isn't valid and that it was their fault because their soul chose into that experience. And yes, you could argue that that can be empowering for some people. So for some people, it's empowering for them to find the silver lining, to feel like, to believe that their soul chose into that experience for their personal growth and so that they can become the person they are today. But that's a human. We're talking about animals here, and animals don't have the same cognitive abilities as human. And so it's almost like abusing a person with learning difficulties or a child, and then saying, oh, well, their soul chose into that experience and from source perspective, there's no such thing as wrong. It is a dangerous, dangerous aspect of spirituality that I definitely don't agree with. And I feel like it needs reform, because it is causing people to behave in very selfish ways that do not consider other, that only consider self, and not in a good way. It's selfish in the sense that harms another. And so I feel like it is a cop-out, and it is just a way that spiritual people who actually care about animals will try and justify what they're doing. This is where I feel like people are addicted to eating animals and their secretions. This is where I feel like this must be an addiction, because for somebody to be able to kill their own pets, their own pigs, their own sheep, to be able to actually physically harm another living sentient being who doesn't want to suffer or die, there not only is a huge cognitive dissonance, there is some form of addiction to consuming meat and like animal flesh, animal veins, animal blood. It's a strange thing, because people have been deeply conditioned to believe that they need to consume these things in order to be healthy and thrive. And people put so much time and energy and focus and attention into finding ways to eat animals so that they can be healthy. But why don't these people who are supposedly caring individuals put that much time and focus and attention and energy into finding ways to thrive by not killing and exploiting and abusing animals. This is what I don't understand. Where your focus goes, energy flows. And I honestly feel like people who spiritually bypass, it's a cop-out. And I just want to say to anybody out there who's watching this who does this and who condones their behavior of abusing animals by spiritually bypassing, if you are somebody who does this, I want to assure you and reassure you that there are ways you can thrive being vegan. And just like it took you some time to find a way that worked for you eating animals, just with a few changes within a year, you could be thriving not eating animals and their secretions. You could be thriving not exploiting animals. And especially if you breed your own animals or have your own animals and then kill them, you could be living a life where you don't do that anymore, where you don't kill animals. Like, doesn't that feel better to you? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear from you. I know that this can go very deep, and I have been very deep down the rabbit hole with spiritual truths and spiritual half-truths. And what it comes down to for me personally is that I do not want to abuse animals. I do not want to exploit animals. I personally feel like that is unnecessary and wrong. And that is my moral view, that it's wrong. Maybe some people don't think it's wrong, which I find very, very sad. But let's just say, whether it's wrong or right, it doesn't feel good to do it. Unless you're a psychopath or get a kick out of killing, like a hunter, it doesn't feel good to kill animals and exploit animals. And so if it doesn't feel good to do that, please know that you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. If the thought of that doesn't feel good to you, please know that you don't have to contribute to that. You don't have to pay someone to do that for you, because you can live in alignment with your genuine love and care for animals. And you can live in a way where you can thrive and receive all the nutrients you need by eating plants. And yeah, so that is my thoughts on spiritual bypassing. This is actually a really huge topic among the spiritual community and spiritual folk. This is something that comes up a lot in conversation when I am speaking to people who are spiritually aware but still eating animals. This comes up a lot. It's surprising how the excuses people come up with so that they can continue to exploit and kill is crazy to me. Why? It makes me feel like they're addicted to it in some way. Like, why wouldn't you want to try and change your mindset and try and change your behavior? Why wouldn't you want to try for the animals? Because yeah, any nutrient that you are receiving from animal flesh or animal secretions, you can get in plants without causing the suffering and the guilt and the shame within yourself. Those feelings are there for a reason. So please just know you don't have to do that. And spiritual bypassing is really just a cop-out and a way that people justify their behavior that is harming another. So yeah, okay, I'm gonna go. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.